I have written three books in English, and the first one was Lean, Waste Elimination, but I mentioned that the appreciation of the human potential, people's potential. Second book was New Shop Floor Management, which connect to that to have the management system and and so that the whole organization is linked well, like a neuron structure, and be able to address the issues that's needed by the glass wall management, where the bottlenecks should be exposed out of the good management system they can put in place. The third book is more philosophical, if you may call it. It's about the heart. Results from the heart is deeper into our being and connect to what we do as the mini company president, which means that you are to align what you believe and what you like and what you're capable and good at is to be the main focus for each individual, and the company need to find a way to get that played out across the organization, mainly with, again, the mini company and the glass wall management, but with more of a emphasis on the individual's view and the leadership related to that. So those three books are the foundation of where I put my energy and my career. And if I can talk about those three books related to the COVID-19, I think that may be sufficient to go through this. And people may be patient so that they can see my point of view and then find the gap in between or something that they can focus on. So let's see. So obviously, facing the issues that we have in front of us, COVID-19, the leader needs to have a clear, concise view for the people to address. Of course, leaders need to come up with the more out-of-the-box kind of thinking, and that's another issue to talk about. But if I were to focus on the people, organization, the management, and what they can do, along with what the top guy can think out of the box for the future of the company, I mean, there are two things that those I mentioned has to be connected. The view of the leader and the capability of the people and the organization. And you have to do both of them. And if the leader has a creative idea of coming up from the top what to do, that's great. But it should also incorporate people's potential for them to work on their own. And that those two issues has to be matched in a concise and clear manner at the top management and be able to deliver to the people. So let me focus on the second of my part of the discussion, which is a people issue, management issue, and what they can do. Because whatever the creative thought from the leadership, it's beyond my consideration, and it may be clever and wise, but I cannot spend my time on that because I have no idea. Each situation, that person's creativity is different. So forget that part of the top-down view of the issue, but in the meantime, you have to also address the organization management issue and the leadership at the top, and for each of the mini company president, which is everyone, from the shop floor to the top, and everybody is the leader of his own mini company, the president of the mini company. So here, there's the issue of the lean and the key principle of mini company that I can talk about. You know the lean, so it's not much to talk about by now. It's about waste elimination, 7 waste, but I added 8th waste, which is people waste of not utilizing the people. So the whole Toyota production system and applied in other part of the business is connected to that. Clearly, that's the right thing to do, whatever the environment, COVID-19 or any issues that we may face as a crisis has to go through that because that helps to reduce the cost and bring in people's potential into the organization. So there's no question you have to keep on doing, and whatever the state of the organization, I believe this is something that everyone can be focused on. And the mini company idea is also tied to that, but also connected to other parts of the organization almost like a biological neuron system because of the customer, supplier, banker, employee relationship, that the whole organization is like a network. So each mini company president need to be empowered and focus on what they need to do. That's basically a premise that you have to have. And whatever the situation of the organization, this principle I don't think would go away. So those two issues, two books, are the ones that I have spent time, and I believe you have to re-emphasize if you relate to my message here. I'm talking about you being the CEO or the management of the organization. You need to focus, re-emphasize, because there's something they can do without the top too much involved. Because within each of their environment, they should focus on those two. Of course, you can put the TPM and others along with it, but basically, those are the two issues that I see is necessary, and the top management need to keep re-emphasizing for facing the difficulty and moving into the future. You have to work on those. The third element, therefore, given those two are understood, hopefully, and you need to lay out the program how to do it. But that's your business, and I can only stimulate at this moment how you can move the organization and realign it to assure that that's what people need to do, because that skill also for the organization is good at. It's also good for each person to develop the way of eliminating waste and manage their own self-management principle. And whatever the situation changes, the organization changes, and the environment changes, those two would remain to be a critical issue for whatever happens and for each individual. That's my view. And so that's what I spent my whole 35 years, or maybe more, working on those across the world. And even now I work with people over the Skype, and because of the books and knowledge, and people can be excited. That's the excitement and the vision you have to create, and that's also tied to the third book of the leadership. And the leadership, just to say briefly, is not the leadership from the brain. The brain has a logic, but the logic itself cannot move the people by itself. So you have to have the connection at more than the logic level, because this logic is important. It's scientific and it makes sense, so that drives the people to understand. And those are the, let's say the lean mini company issues that, hopefully people understand, and the top management understand, but of the potential of what they can do economically, but also in the humanistic sense and the people's motivation sense. So that leadership has to tie in those two elements with the word and attitude and the light in the eyes of the leaders, and the bringing out, not from the brain point of view, but connected to the heart, because we want, like a children growing up, we want people, the children in the organization, to grow up to pursue their vision, and they are the ones. And I mentioned about this, maybe I didn't, but in the change process, all the startups can bring in lots of ideas, and it may be much faster. But that idea of the startup can be developed within the organization by the idea of mini company. And in fact, I may say to the point that each mini company president should do their own and figure out what the mission of the mini company, but also mission of their life. What they're good at, and are they fit to what they do in this environment, in this company organization, in his position right now? Or is he having some other thought or opportunity outside, or lack of opportunity? If there's nothing to be done in this current organization, he can still pursue further in the direction he chooses to be. And that's democracy in a way, and the mini company idea, and the third book on the results from the heart is connected to that. And also in the mini company discussion, I mentioned that if the top management or the bankers not agreeing with you with the way or the mission and how you manage and how you can prove with annual report and what you can do, then okay, you leave the organization to move on to pursue your dream. So that's the motivational issue, and the leader of the organization need to connect to the motivation of the people, and we have to find a way to align it. So that's the third book, and the human element, and the motivational element, and the leadership issues, and the scientific parts to be tied together. And that's what I suggest. And that's basically the message on this occasion to emphasize that.